Tell us what you found. So you run into this for a year, and we all know that cows are terrible for the environment. Cows are terrible for the soil. Cows destroy everything. In fact, we need to get rid of it. I don't know if you've heard that Bill Gates has just finished the initial round of a $24.5 million funding project to develop a vaccine to give cows so they don't fart or burp. So this is the cutting edge of Bill Gates research. Your project didn't cost $24 million, I'm sure. So give us the bottom line. What did you find in the course of the year? What did you find at the end of the research study?
We had some fabulous results. I mean, this poster in and of itself showing my forages compared to the forages of my neighbor, that was, I mean, to me, not being a scientist and not, Anna, because she's a biologist, she's very much interested in the pH levels and the mineral content, and we found great results there. I'm a very visual person, and this was very exciting for me to be able to show those forages. I could see when I was mowing down behind the cows, I could see their urine spots in the grass were green, and all the grass around it wasn't as dense and green as the grass where their urine spots were. So I was able to see instantly these visual representations of the minerals going back into the soil. Now, from a scientific standpoint, the results that Anna provided that are on the poster that I'll email you, she was able to show drastic improvements. And, one of the biggest components of regenerating the pasture forages, the soil and the forages, is the pH level. And when we started this project, our pH level was negative. We had negative pH in our soil. And as a result, we had poor forages. And using this program, we were able to raise the pH to 6.5, which is an ideal level for growing forages. We were also able to show significant increases in the trace minerals of the forages themselves. So we actually took samples of the grasses that were available for the cows to graze, and we took samples at the beginning and at the end, and we were able to show improvements in the mineral content of those grasses over the year.
So when we're feeding these minerals, the beauty of this is that this is it's all part of our fertility program. Around here on our farm too, like yours. I mean, these mineral programs are not cheap, and a lot of farmers balk at the cost of this. Oh no, it's going to be. But we view the money we spend on minerals as some of the best investment we make, because it's actually, flowing through and increasing the fertility of the soil. Did you look at organic matter, or what else? Were there any other benchmarks that you were looking for that you found?
We took, like I said, soil samples. So we were just testing the mineral content and also the pH level and the acidity of the soil itself. And then also those same markers for the forages, the grasses. We took clippings of the grasses and had those tested for pH and also for the mineral content. Those were our two benchmarks. Now, there's one other thing that we did that I didn't mention, is there were several areas where we were able to, we brought in the chickens. And we, as you know, and obviously you're very famous for the chicken sanitation program. And that's what we decided, we want those cow patties that potentially have the minerals in them to be broken up and spread across the soil, so that when it rains, we get it more spread out, right. Remineralization instead of just those concentrated areas. Like with the urine, it was very concentrated in that area, and we wanted for it to, be spread out among the whole area. And so in those areas, which you'll see on the poster, on the areas where we have control, where we did nothing, and then we have cow only, which was most of the pasture land, and then our cow chicken area. The cow chicken areas were off the charts better than the cow only area, and then obviously both better than control. but there was significant improvement where we used the chickens to spread out the manure to go back into the soil. It's significant improvement in both the soil and the forages.
So did you start selling eggs? Do you sell eggs too?
I sell eggs. We sell, yeah, we do. We sell eggs, and we sell raw milk, like I said. And we also sell, of course, just our regular vegetables and elderberry.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Did you test the milk to see if the composition of the milk changed?
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because we also, in addition to Anna coming, we all are always looking for other people to come, other researchers to come, other interns to come, just people who want to come and work. And also talk about Jesus. That's like, if you're here, we're going to talk about it. So we're always soliciting people to come and work on the farm. So we just had a new biologist come. This is her junior year, and she asked the very same question. And I'm very excited to potentially study this next. If a cow is eating this mineral program, would their milk contain trace minerals over a cow that wasn't eating this type of program? Isn't that a very interesting thing to study? And so ironically enough, this was not planned, but ironically enough, this is in the poster that I'm going to email you as a future research project.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah. So how would you, I mean, you don't want to, now that you've seen so many improvements, you don't want to deny any of your cows mineral. So where do you get the control, and how do you actually identify that this is a result of you? In other words, if you use somebody else's cows on another place, that's not, how much do you attribute to the chickens? How much do you attribute to the mineral? How much do you attribute to the controlled grazing? I mean, there's so many nuances. This is one of the limitations of Western science, right? You have so many variables, and you have to adjust for those variables. So are you thinking how you make that kind of comparison?
Well, I have an idea. Since I've been here and since I've been doing this, I've collected a large group of people who believe the way that I believe and do the things that I do. And, a group of like-minded people that are milking cows and believe in grass-fed and are trying to improve their forages. And there's several, unfortunately, one of the drawbacks, as you said earlier, to the mineral program is that they're expensive. And while I'm using that program, a lot of my counterparts who are milking cows are not using that program. They're using some type of program, but not that program. So I would choose someone that was farming the way that I was farming and that I trusted, maybe somebody that was selling under the same label as me. And I would probably use their cows as control.
Sure.
Just thinking out loud.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Wow. Yeah.
But it's incredible, because nutrient density is a huge topic now amongst, the health and wellness practitioners and like-minded researchers like us and the farmers like Joel. So anytime that we can increase the nutrient density of our food, that's a huge win for us, right? Because this is well known now that our food is not as nutrient dense, generally speaking, as it was even a couple of decades ago. So that's a really, for me, an exciting prospect, that by just doing what you have done with, according to Joel, the subpar, no, the sub-perfect rotational grazing, but just some grazing, and introducing this what I would call a personalized mineral program, you may in fact be able to boost the nutrient density of these foods, which is now going to help us, because as you know, trace minerals are keenly important in the body, as in parts of cofactors and covariables in pretty much every single metabolic reaction that we have. You're going to find some kind of trace mineral involved with that. So, and we're finding all these trace mineral deficiencies now in even people in the United States. Every single person I know of that has an autoimmune or chronic disease has a mineral or nutrition deficiency in these micronutrients. In fact, we're still seeing cases of scurvy of all things. I mean, can you believe it? Like we have scurvy cases now. We have beriberi cases now. So the work that you're doing on your farm, to me, as a coming from a nutrition standpoint, is really critical. And if we have more farmers doing what you're doing, it could be a real turning point, not only for the health of the soil, the forages, and the animals that are grazing there, but also for the humans. And I know we're almost out of time, but I wanted to say just a couple things, a couple comments. I think it's fabulous that you're seeing that the urine, right? You said like the urine spots are actually green, right? Because this made me immediately think of dogs. And a lot of people complain that their dogs go outside and urinate on their yards and it turns brown, right? So isn't that intriguing? Like, what is the difference between some of these animals are turning the green grass brown or yellow? They're burning it, right? And Joel, you've talked about this before, right?
Now, Sina, you don't want to hear this, but trust me, cow urine is way better than dog urine.
You are speciest. Dogs have so many great benefits. Like, yes, but
Now,
no,
well,
but
cows don't lie in your lap quite as comfortably as dogs either. So I get that, but it is true that there are differences. But the mineral component is a lot of what actually is the critical factor in being able to metabolize the nutrients. I'll never forget when Jerry Brunetti, the founder of Agrodynamics, he's passed away now, but I mean, he was the early guru on this, and he would show electron microscope pictures of GI tracts of satiated minerals versus unsatiated, and just how the nutrients were transferring in those GI tracts. It was absolutely amazing, and that was the part of the catalyst that made us on our farm move away from meat and animal bone meal to the animals and go to a high mineral program instead. And the animals were able to metabolize out the nutrients that were in the grains that we were feeding the chickens. This is chickens primarily. We were feeding the chickens and didn't need those those slaughter wastes, which had become toxic by that time. That was our problem. And so the minerals were a critical factor. So yeah, this is big stuff. And just for the folks, and maybe there's some purist here watching this. So, well, wild animals, you don't have to put out mineral boxes for wild animals. Yeah, but they get to go places that our domestic stock can't go. They can go to swamps and old charred trees and salt licks in nature. The animals in nature, they move. Part of their movement was finding these minerals, and when we fence them in, because Starbucks doesn't want our cows on their parking lot, when we fence them in, then we don't allow them to go to the beach to get seaweed. We don't allow them to go to a swamp, to a different place. And so and when you've raised monocrops, whether it's corn, cotton, or soybeans for a century, it depletes the soil, especially of the particular nutrients that those crops want. And so Courtney, what you're doing is magnificent in its animal husbandry, bringing to the animals and letting them choose what they really need, which ultimately is exactly what the land under their feet needs. So it's a wonderful, wonderful circle.